Things are changing with the Bricklink Designer Program, and I'm worried they could be making some huge mistakes. What's going on, everybody? I'm John, back from SlapShotBricks. Today we have a little bit of an interesting style video, but it's something that I really think as many people here in the community need to hear, so I really hope this gets a lot of engagement and at least gets people talking. So, the Bricklink Designer Program is something that I'm actually a massive fan of. We actually have several Bricklink Designer Program sets currently in our collection, some of which we recently unboxed in our unboxing series right here on the channel. We actually have several more hidden within all the boxes currently in our collection. So if you guys want to see what other Bricklink Designer Program sets we currently have, make sure to check out our unboxing series. Now, getting back to Bricklink and the Bricklink Designer Program, I want to briefly just break it down for those of you guys who don't know what those two things are. So Bricklink is a website where you can actually go and purchase parts, minifigs, or sets from other sellers. You can also sign up to become a seller, open up your own store, and sell those things that I just mentioned. And it's worldwide. There are thousands of sellers all over the globe who sell on Bricklink, many of whom actually have made a full-time living from just selling on Bricklink. So it is a pretty big deal. What's also a big deal is that since Lego owns Bricklink, they actually make a portion off of every single transaction that happens every single day. So it's a nice little moneymaker for Lego. Now, getting to the Bricklink Designer Program, it's a program within Bricklink where you can actually submit your own fan design to possibly become a real Lego set. Once all the submissions have been taken for a specific period of time, the Bricklink Designer Program then opens up voting to the community, upon which you can go in and vote for your favorite sets. The Bricklink Designer Program at the end of the voting period then takes everybody's votes into consideration, mixed with the parameters set forth by the program, and then chooses 5 finalists that will become official Lego sets. How to obtain one of those 5 finalist Lego sets happens through a specific date and time that's set for pre-ordering or essentially crowdfunding by the community. And what's interesting about these sets is there has to be a minimum of 3,000 copies purchased for one of those 5 sets to actually be made. Now, we've never seen a set in the past not meet that 3,000 copy threshold. And then there's a max set for each finalist set of 30,000 copies. So those are the existing parameters that we have for the sets. Now, after you pre-order your set, it usually takes around 6 to 9 months for you to get the set in hand once it's manufactured. Another side note that I want to mention is that these sets come in the all-white boxes, and they also don't have physical instructions. So they do differ from actual Lego sets in the fact that they have those white boxes, they don't have physical instructions, and they're fan designed, not designed by actual Lego designers. But aside from that, they are official Lego sets. So now that you guys know how the Bricklink Designer Program works and the parameters for which it operates, I want to briefly discuss why I love the Bricklink Designer Program so much. First off, I love having the opportunity to support fan designers who are incredibly talented and come up with these beautiful sets that I can then purchase through the Bricklink Designer Program. The second reason as to why I love the program is because it satisfies a need that I cannot currently satisfy through Lego, and that's a theme that I would bet that a lot of you guys out there watching also love, and that of course is castle. There is no official non-licensed castle theme currently on the shelves and being offered from Lego. So over the years, the Bricklink Designer Program has filled that gap within the Lego marketplace, and as a result, we've seen a lot of really beautiful castles being selected as finalists and then turned into actual Lego sets through the Bricklink Designer Program. Which now brings us to the current program that is being offered with Series 5. So if you actually go to the Bricklink website, find the Bricklink Designer Program homepage, and then click on Series 5, you will see the 5 finalists that are sets currently up for pre-order. We have the Thieves of Tortuga, awesome pirate set, which looks amazing. We've got the Mushroom Village, which is actually a follow-up set to the Mushroom House we got a few series ago. There's the Antique Shop, the Popcorn Wagon, which I love my food trucks, so this one was a must-have. And then the one that I feel like has been the catalyst for some big changes that we're seeing with Series 5. We have the beautiful Adventure in Transylvania. And this is without a doubt one that Castle fans all over the community are foaming at the mouth to get their hands on, because the architecture style is incredible. I love the fall foliage, the Eastern European vibe. This just screams Fright Nights to me, and I cannot wait to make a custom Fright Night castle / manor with this set. Now, unfortunately, it is the most expensive set, coming in at $350. But before I dive into the changes with Series 5, I want to read the message that we have here at the top of the page. It says, "More Series 5 sets? You got it. The love for Series 5 has blown us away. We know it's tough when sets sell out before you can get your hands on them. So we teamed up with our manufacturing friends to make more sets available. This may not be the case for future series, so don't miss your chance to get in on the fun." When I first read that message, my first reaction was that they are using Series 5 as a test run or a test model for future series, with the two big changes that they've made. The first big change, I think, actually contradicts the message here. They actually reduced the pre-order window from 4 weeks to 2 weeks, even though the way I interpret this message is that they want to make the Bricklink Designer Program and every series that's offered available to as many people in the community for as long as possible. They want to make as many sets as possible. So why they would reduce the pre-order window by 50% doesn't really make sense based on this message. The other thing, in regards to the biggest change that we've seen with the program so far, is the quantity of sets offered for 3 specific finalists within this series. The Popcorn Wagon actually had its max sets available upgraded from 30,000 to 34,000. We saw the Thieves of Tortuga had its maxed sets raised from 30,000 copies to 40,000 copies. And then we saw the Adventure in Transylvania, their amount of sets has been increased from 30,000 to 50,000. And as you guys can see by the status bar at the bottom of the Adventure in Transylvania page here, it is almost sold out of those 50,000. Now, with 6 days left in the pre-order window, will they up it to 60,000 to continue to satisfy that demand? At this time, we don't know, but it's pretty critical that they upped the amount of sets offered for 3 out of 5 of the finalists for Series 5. And that's why between the Series 5 that I just talked about, the Series 8 reveal that just happened at Brickworld Chicago, and the panel that specifically was held at Brickworld Chicago, I want to give you guys my 5 reasons why I think they shouldn't change the Bricklink Designer Program from what it currently was. So my first reason as to why I think they shouldn't change the program is because limited edition drives sales. When it comes to collectibles or anything people like to buy, when you make something limited, it gets people hyped and it gets people to a specific location, or in the terms of the Bricklink Designer Program, at their website on a specific date at a specific time. We actually love that aspect of the Bricklink Designer Program, and one of the reasons why we love having something a little bit more limited in our collection is because it makes our Lego collection a little bit different from everyone else's. Take the brand new modular that Lego comes out with every single January. Everybody rushes to the store, or most people rush to the store, buy the new modular, they build it up, they put it in their city. And Joanna and I looked at each other a couple years ago and we said, we're pretty much always going to buy the new modular because she loves modulars, but how do we make our city stand out from other people's cities? And that's another reason as to what drove us to the Bricklink Designer Program. We like having sets in our collection that not everybody has. It's not to say that we're trying to have something that other people can't have. The Bricklink Designer Program is open to anybody as long as they know about it. It's just a simple fact that it's cool to have something that not everybody else has. It makes your collection just a little bit more special, and it makes the hobby just a little bit more fun and engaging. So for my second reason, I would actually argue that a lack of transparency hurts sales. And when you have the Bricklink Designer Program not revealing how many copies of each set they're going to make for each finalist prior to the pre-order going live, there's a couple questions that come to mind, at least in my head. And the first one being, if I don't know how many copies are going to be made, why have a status bar at all? If you're going to keep upping the amount of quantities for each set, why not remove that status bar altogether? On top of that, why even have a pre-order window for these sets? Why not just come out and say, hey, we're gonna have these 5 sets available on the Bricklink website through the Bricklink Designer Program and just create a print-on-demand set. If you want one of these sets, you can buy it. It'll take 6 to 9 months for it to be made and to be shipped out to you, but why even make this limited edition at all if you're just going to keep upping the quantity to match the perceived demand? And that's where, with this program having the limited edition aspect, now having a little bit of lack of transparency from the team in terms of how many numbers are being made, I want to discuss scalping. Now, no matter what community you're in, everybody hates scalpers. People who buy up the stock of whatever it is and then try to resell it on the secondary market to make a quick profit or a quick flip. It was actually brought up at the Brickworld Chicago Bricklink Designer Program panel where they revealed Series 8. The representative for the Bricklink Designer Program actually stated that 80% of the people who make purchases through the Bricklink Designer Program are only buying one set. So that would mean that they are buying that set for themselves, for their collection, or they could be reselling that one set, but that seems like a lot of trouble for going through everything you have to go through to buy one of these sets. Now, for the 20% of people who are buying multiple copies, they may be scalping, but I want to bring some insight for your awareness. So if we look at a set that did sell out from a previous series, one that was very popular, set number 910043, Forest Stronghold. This one had some beautiful Forestman figures, awesome castle set, highly desired, sold out very quickly for a retail price of $300. So not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. Currently has an estimated new in-box value on the secondary market, according to Brick Economy, of $442.86. So you've got $150 markup now on that retail price if you want to go buy it, which does stink. However, from the seller perspective, I would argue here that it may actually not even be worth it to try to buy some of these more expensive sets to flip. And if we go to eBay, which I know there's lots of these sets sold on other platforms like Macari, like whatnot, like Bricklink, of course, but I want to look at eBay really quick because we have some very recent sales. We have one sale that actually happened today, June 17th, as of the recording of this video, that sold for $400 free shipping. If you look for the one beneath it, it actually sold $400, same thing, brand new in box with $75 delivery fee for shipping. So if you go back to the first person that sold it for $400, they're likely going to have to pay, depending on wherever that buyer is, $65 to $75, maybe even more money to ship this pretty massive set. So after that, let's say they are now taking home $325. You also have to pay eBay fees, platform fees, and all that kind of stuff. So by the time they're walking away from this, I don't even think they made any money off this set. They basically just either broke even or maybe made $5. Is that really worth it to scalp this set in the first year that it's been available? So on the flip side, some people might argue that you will have to hold some of these sets for a long period of time to experience that big appreciation and value that you see with some Lego sets. And to that, I would also disagree. When it comes to these Bricklink Designer Program sets, they do not have any unique or special pieces that are made specifically for these sets. Lego goes to their factories and their manufacturers, and they use whatever pieces they have on hand to make these sets. On top of that, these sets are not connected to any sort of IP, so they're not recognizable like a franchise like Disney or Harry Potter or Star Wars or anything like that. That also is going to hurt your long-term value or your potential for growth. The other thing that these sets don't have is exclusive or special minifigures, which of course is a big driving force when it comes to sets on the aftermarket. And the fourth, very important factor that you cannot overlook with these sets is that they do not have physical instructions. All four of those factors combined, I would say that these sets are not good long-term investments. So when it comes to scalping, I don't think there's a lot of opportunity for them or for anyone here to worry about scalping the Bricklink Designer Program sets because I just don't think there's a lot of skin on the bone. And that brings me to my fourth reason as to why I think the Bricklink Designer Program shouldn't change, because there is already significant demand for the Bricklink Designer Program sets for people who want to buy these, build them, and enjoy having them in their collections. And I would also argue that things are much different compared to several years ago with earlier series of the Bricklink Designer Program. There is a lot more awareness throughout the community for the Bricklink Designer Program than in the past. We're seeing LEGO ambassadors actually receive BDP sets early to review to then promote the upcoming pre-order date so they can order one of those sets for their personal collections. On top of that, we just saw the BDP panel at Brickworld Chicago where they had a direct Q&A with people in attendance, and they revealed the Series 8 finalists to get people excited about the upcoming waves of the Bricklink Designer Program. On top of that, you have other creators all over the various social media platforms using the Bricklink Designer Program sets, incorporating them into their cities and in their displays, and making content with them and letting their followers and subscribers know exactly where they got them and how those people can get them as well in future series. So I would argue that the only people who aren't able to participate in the Bricklink Designer Program yet are people who just don't know about it, or people who don't have the funds to buy some of these rather expensive sets when they go up for pre-order. And I understand that people's cards don't get charged until later on, but you have to factor this into your budget now, because for this series, for example, we're not going to get our cards charged until October, November, December, and that's prime holiday shopping season. And that's something that I would rather account for now than be hit up later during a very critical time in the year. So I think there's plenty of awareness for the Bricklink Designer Program sets and series. And also, there's one critical thing that I also want to mention in the fact that even with this significant demand, we have yet to see a series of all 5 sets sell out 30,000 copies. So instead of upping the sets that are obviously very popular, I think the Bricklink Designer Program should focus more on finding 5 sets that do sell out all 30,000 copies of every single one before they start upping the quantities for specific sets here and there. And for my fifth and final point as to why I hope they don't change the Bricklink Designer Program moving forward is because if they do continue with these changes and increasing the quantity of certain sets, I fear that we may never get an original castle theme back on LEGO shelves ever again. And as a castle fan, that would be a huge bummer because we barely get anything from LEGO as it is. Just take a look at what we've gotten so far here in 2025. Which 2025 has actually been a better year compared to previous years. For the CMF Series 27, we got the Wolfpack Beastmaster minifigure, beautiful minifigure with the wolf and everything, absolutely legendary. However, that one was very tough to find in the wild and has become rather scarce. The other thing that we just got recently was the Ideas minifigure vending machine. This actually came with 2 brand new castle factions that were actually voted on by the community, the Kraken Knights as well as the Griffin Knights. Both look incredible. Cannot wait to get this set in my hand at some point. And then the other thing that we have to look forward to coming up in August is the Creator 3-in-1 Horse Knight Castle. That is once again going to have 2 brand new castle factions with the Horse Knights and the Snake Knights. However, if you look at that compared to what other themes are offering right now, like Technic and Friends and City and Ninjago and Star Wars, what we're getting as Castle fans is absolutely pathetic. I think as it stands, for the amount of demand for Castle here in 2025, there is no reason why LEGO shouldn't be putting out at least 2 to 3 sets in some form of a Castle theme for us to buy. And I think they're actually using the Bricklink Designer Program as a crutch. If I'm LEGO, and I'm going to take a step back here and put myself in LEGO's shoes for a minute here as a business, why would I create a castle theme to put on shelves for people to buy when people are clearly going out and paying big money? We're talking about $300 plus for most of these castle sets that are fan designed, don't have instructions, don't use specialized parts, don't have any IP licenses attached to it, and are probably far cheaper for LEGO to mass produce in the quantities that they're coming out with rather than put them on their shelves for the mainline sets. Plus, on top of that, that. If they see that 30,000 people are willing to buy the set and they can quietly up it from 40,000 to 50,000 to who knows, maybe for one series, if they see a castle set is popular enough, they could just up it to 100,000. They will never give us an original castle theme based on the fact that they have the Bricklink Designer Program to tap in and satisfy the need for castle here in the LEGO community in 2025. However, at this point in my LEGO journey, I actually do not want to buy that many more castles. Instead of focusing on the castles and the structures, I actually want to focus on the minifigures, the factions, building up my armies, having cool side builds, creating princesses and lore and such like that, so I can make really fun stories and create an awesome portion of my LEGO city that has all the big castles that I've already made. I would love to get $20 to $25 battle packs with all the factions that LEGO is putting behind these big paywalls. So with that being said, I really think that this is a horrible move going forward for the Bricklink Designer Program, because in years past, Joanna and I looked at the program hoping that they would be using this program as sort of a way to data mine and figure out a way where they could gap what LEGO fans currently want. By seeing what LEGO fans are voting on, what fan designers are submitting, what sets are being chosen, and then taking those sets and all that data and then eventually putting them on LEGO shelves for the mainline sets. That is clearly not what's happening. And I think moving forward, Joanna and I are going to be seriously evaluating what we purchase from the Bricklink Designer Program. And there's been several waves where we bought every single set in the series. I don't think we're going to be doing that moving forward. And I don't know how much castle I'm going to be buying from the Bricklink Designer Program moving forward. Unless it's something that really wows me, I think I'm going to be taking my money and putting it in trying to hunt down other factions of minifigures to complete my armies. But that's just where I'm at in my LEGO journey. This is just how I feel about the Bricklink Designer Program and the changes that they are currently making. But I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments section below. What do you think about this? Whether you've purchased any Bricklink Designer Program sets or not. If you're a castle fan, I definitely want to hear your thoughts and opinions, but let me know down in the comment section below. Also, while you're down there, make sure to smash that thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, because we have a lot of exciting LEGO content coming up here in our massive LEGO studio, and I'd love for you guys to join in on the journey and on the fun. So with that being said, don't stop shooting until you score, and we'll see you guys in the next one.